Hey everybody out there on the World Wide Web. This is Brian Bram from Eagles Wings Community Church coming at you once again with another blog. And I did this blog on why start another church, why have a church plant, and if you're going to start another church, why have a church on diversity of thought, and what does that even really mean? So hope you'll read the blog and enjoy it. Wanted to do a couple of introductory things for the blog once again. And one starts off with one of the very first churches that I went to in my life. I went very happily to this particular church for a very long time, and I owe a lot to them. But eventually, through my own study, I began to see a few things in Scripture doctrinally a little bit differently than the particular church that I was attending, and I really had every intention on staying. Unfortunately, it became an uncomfortable situation eventually, and I ended up having to leave. And as I did, I kind of was left wondering, sort of, why do I have to leave? I'm really perfectly happy here. Other than I have a few things that I see differently, but it became a situation where it wasn't comfortable, and I think that really started the seeds for what I would envision in my own church years down the road. So I didn't. I already had the idea by the time that happened that I would one day be starting a church, but that just basically kind of influenced how I would begin the church that I started at Eagles Wings. So another story that kind of goes into this topic was a lesson that I had while I was in seminary and at Bethel. And what I found out was a study that was done, and unfortunately I can't name the study. I should have probably jotted it down, but it was a study that was done that found out that basically students that were entering seminary were much more black and white in their thinking than students that were finishing seminary. And I know some people use that as a negative, and they think of terms like cemetery and that sort of thing. And I really see it as a positive, because I think that so many times we are so confident that we have all of the right answers, and then we eventually find out that we can actually be wrong on some things. So there definitely are a lot of gray areas in theology and in Scripture and in doctrine that I think we need to pay attention to. And what I noticed, though, was that if all of these students were sort of graduating in the realm of being a little bit more gray than when they entered, why was it a continual cycle where new students were always coming in very black and white? Why wasn't it that a lot of students were coming in very gray if they were being led by people who were very gray in their own theology? And what I figured out was that a lot of people, while they were graduating seminary with a lot of gray area in their theology, they were going back out into a world that was operating very black and white, and they were operating themselves very black and white. And so I once again thought about, why do we have to do it that way? Why can't we go out and talk openly about the things that seem to be sort of gray areas? And then another thing that I figured out was, I would do all of this study on various topics throughout seminary, and I continue to do so today, where especially books like the Four Views books and some of these kinds of works, where I would read an article with one particular take on a doctrine, and I would think, wow, that's so well supported, and this person is so smart, and it's just an intelligent take on this particular topic. And then I would read the next essay, and I would think the same thing for different reasons. And what I came to find out was that there were a lot of really smart people in the world, and even though that's the case, all of those smart people weren't necessarily agreeing on some of these basic doctrines. So it just sort of was an aha moment for me to realize that. So I think that what I've come to the conclusion of, at least for myself, and a lot of the people at Eagles Wings have come to the conclusion of, is that we definitely don't ignore the process of the hard work of exegesis, and that is absolutely key in our community. But what is also key is that really dialogue is paramount. And if we do that, if we do the hard work and we do dialogue, then that is really the way that we can advance theology. And that's the goal, is to continually advance theology. I had a professor once sort of not ask me personally, but sort of ask the whole class the question that also sort of played in my formation of the theme of a diversity of thought at Eagles Wings. And the question that he liked to ask was, if I am wrong about a particular thing, then how would I know it? And I think that what ends up happening is we hold some of these things so closely to ourselves, so deeply within ourselves, that we never actually ask and sort of go back to the basics and go back to the foundation, if you will, and try to find out how did I come to believe this, and really, is it right? Is it the right thing? And we can do that without a spirit of fear, because we know that God is not giving us and is not the author of fear. So we can do it very confidently, and trusting that that we're going to get good results. And sometimes the results are going to be that we're going to change our mind, and sometimes we're going to find out that hey, I actually really do think this, and end up sort of strengthening our faith. So we can still have conviction, but it's important to realize that we really shouldn't have strong convictions about things that we've not studied, and about things that we haven't put the work into. And so I think that's important. It's important to realize, of course, then, that our convictions will absolutely grow stronger after we've done the hard work and the research and engaged in dialogue and the process of getting other people's views. And I think that's a main key, is getting other people's views, whether it be in dialogue or whether it be in reading and research. It's a very key concept. So we invite you once again to Eagles Wings, our discussion groups on Saturday mornings, and you can find all that information out on our blog. We'd love to have you.